Hey everybody, it's Monica. Just wanted to jump in real quick before this episode to say that if you are thoroughly enjoying Bonus Experience and you want to support us, it would be really, really helpful if you would go to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever, and leave us a 5-star review and tell everyone just how great and funny you think we all are. That'll help us get visibility and it'll help more people enjoy our show. Please like us, please subscribe to us, please leave a good review, and thank you very much and enjoy today's episode.
Story that everyone has to put all this energy into.
Can you
Is that your cat?
Yeah, it is. She's
going, hello!
She is talking to something in the closet.
Oh no, I hate when that happens.
Oh, there's a spider. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was like...
It's better than something invisible.
I can see there's a spider. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, no, that's her helloing it at a spider. Anyway... Okay.
All right.
Yeah, how's your day?
Pretty good. How was your day?
I worked. I was having a real bad ADHD day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those days where, like...
You don't want to wake up, everything is fucked, everybody sucks.
No.
You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off.
No.
It's not a very good Fred Durst. I could probably do better than that.
I'm gonna no-sell your Fred Durst.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Someone needs to stop my bullshit.
It was funny, but I'm gonna no-sell it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right.
No, I didn't have a brain today. Do you ever have an ADHD day where you like, well, I can't read.
Yeah.
And I can't think.
Yeah.
And I have a job that requires me to do both.
Mm-hmm.
So I
guess I'll die.
Yeah, guess I'll die. Guess I'll work really slowly is what happened. Because I also have to like not make mistakes. the not cleanliness, but like accuracy of my work is part of the thing metrics.
Oh yeah.
So I need to like not fuck up basic shit. I've been there too long to fuck up basic shit. And I'm like, well, sometimes my brain doesn't work, and I am a kindergartner. A 6 foot tall, 33-year-old kindergartner.
A lot of places don't let you just call in dumb for the day.
Yeah, no, I'm at a very forgiving, very kind place now. And they would let me call in dumb for the day.
Oh, nice.
But I have a limited amount of PTO.
You have a limited amount of dumb days.
Yeah, I don't have separate sick days. And the PTO has to go to several conventions. And I realized I'm actually tight on it because I constantly overbook myself because I don't know how to organize my time.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
That has nothing to do with the ADHD.
No, not at all.
Oh, yes.
The belching experience. Margaret, you know where to sync up the two recordings because we both burp
in harmony.
The same time.
It's making it easy on you, Margaret.
Yeah, mine's an ice cream burp. I'm not drinking anything right now.
Oh, okay. I'm drinking something carbonated because I hate everyone listening to this podcast.
I ran out of beer.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I could solve this.
How could such a thing happen?
I drank it all.
Oh, yeah, that does. Yeah,
I took my last one to game with me last night.
Oh, nice, a game beer.
Yeah, it was a game beer.
All right, what are we doing today?
Yeah, I guess it's my turn to sort of interview you, right?
Yeah. Oh, this will be great because I'm just coming down from some sort of mystery flu cold.
All right.
So I can already feel like my voice is way up in my sinuses.
Cool.
And I will occasionally be muting myself because I have to cough.
Coughing. Oh, okay. That's rough, buddy.
And I don't want to, I'll belch in the microphone. Don't get me wrong.
But coughing is straight out. Yeah, if you belch, we'll rate it and or make fun of you. If you cough, we're just concerned.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, this is Bonus Experience.
Hey!
Welcome to the bodily function hour.
Oh, boy.
But we could also be called a podcast that takes a deeper look at the play experience and the finer details of running and writing games.
Hey, we swear.
And we belch. And we cough and sneeze. Anyway, I'm mad about it. Hopefully before I do.
Okay, yeah. Just gearing up to a fart joke there, but you know what? Forget about it.
Oh.
I'm Monica.
I pulled a fart joke. I'm Ray.
What the fuck are we doing? Oh yeah, so
I don't know, but I think we're both on like weird brain days.
I am having I couldn't talk on the way home. Like I was attempting to make conversation and it was literally like I was drunk. I used so many wrong words and I was like I have a new coworker friend who's an old friend of mine, but now she's working with me now. And we were carpooling, and I was like, Jesus fuck, Caitlin, I have to record a podcast tonight. And I just used the word system when I meant situation.
That's all right. That's forgivable. Like
it is, but I was like, I use my words for a living.
At least you're coming up with things that are actually words. When I can't think of the word, I have to break it down into like its component adjectives.
Right? Do you horse?
Can you
tornado?
hand me the long metal Scooby thing?
Yeah.
You want a spoon, right? Yes, that is what. Thank you very much. And I tell the boys too. Like sometimes as I also have a thyroid disorder, which adds to the brain fog to like already. So I've already explained to the boys, like sometimes I just have a bad brain day and I'll be talking to you, but I won't be able to think of the word and I hope you'll be patient with me. And the oldest is very patient. He's a very kind, sweet boy. And the youngest is more like me, like he likes to laugh at other people. So anytime I can't think of the word, he's always like, what are you doing? He's great. They're both little gremlins.
Oh man. So today we're going to talk about the opposite of last topic. This is running episodes in one-shots.
Yeah, instead of running the long-form campaigns, which I'm pretty hideously bad at, I feel like I can at least speak to the experience of running episodes in one-shots, because I'm a lot more comfortable with that. I like to run one-shots a lot. Considering it's like the easiest format to run for strangers, you think I maybe would have like done that at some point. I've only run one shots for like people that I know. So I guess kind of, take that into consideration when you're listening to like me ramble on in my nasally sick voice. My New Year's resolution is to run a one shot or a few for strangers. And there's a couple of really cool gaming conventions in Kansas City coming up this summer. So hopefully I'll be able to resolve that resolution. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I've done the most dangerous version of this run a one shot for strangers thing, and that is run a playtest demo.
Oof.
Yeah, for both a regular crowd, like people who are just schmoes, and also for other professionals, capital O, capital P.
Oh my god.
Yep. Yeah.
Like it's making me sweaty just thinking about that.
I'm a brave boy. I've also run a canned adventure at Gen Con promoting an unfinished game.
Oh.
Yep. That was a thing. That is a story for another time, perhaps another time that is not actively recording. But yeah, that's the thing I did, and I did it while wearing a costume.
Nice.
Yep. There's a lot of things I've done and can append the phrase while wearing a costume to. In fact, I got a writing gig by talking to the head of a publishing company I'm super fond of while dressed up as one of their characters. So
that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool story.
That's like the dream job interview.
It sort of is. I will tell you this whole story when we're done recording.
Okay.
And I'm sure our audience is like, no, we want to hear about how you got a writing gig cosplaying, but yeah, too bad.
Yeah, that's nerd fantasy. That's great.
Yeah.
I just show up doing the things that I love, and someone goes, hey, let me pay you to do more of the things that you love.
Yeah, it didn't quite shake out like that, but yeah. That was the gist of it. So, let's maybe. I guess we could talk about our actual topic. I realize that we're both a little today. Yeah.
Ugh.
So I'm looking at
on top of the boobly.
Oh yeah, the boobly. I'm looking at all the questions I have for you, and I realize that my questions involve I don't understand how time works.
Oh no. Well, then
So
I guess this would be
I
a
don't
really.
understand how time works.
I mean, I feel you. Trust me. I have to have like Rube Goldbergian like interconnected networks of alarms and reminders to help. Like, hey Ray, remember time is a thing and it's constantly passing. Otherwise, I don't get anything done. So I completely understand not knowing how to manage time and not understanding how time works.
I'm just completely and totally. I've seen people refer to it as time blind. Like,
Yeah,
where you have
that's a good.
no concept of how much time has passed or how little time has passed. Like,
Yep.
you could sit me down and be like, I'll be back in 5 minutes, disappear for 2 hours, and at about the 45-minute mark, I'd be like, I think they've been gone a while.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like,
especially if I'm like in the middle of something too.
yeah.
Because then I'm like, yeah, okay, and then I look up and it's like an hour later. I'm like, hey, weren't they supposed to be back?
Yeah, and you could sit me down and be like, I'll be back in 5 minutes, and be gone for 30 seconds, and I would be like, oh, that 5 minutes passed really quickly.
Yeah.
No concept of time at all. None whatsoever, which had caused me no end of grief in my young life because my mother is literally a clock. So it was not until like my adult life where I was just like, Mom, I don't live in the time stream. I turn up
outside of time.
Right, like I turn up to things on time because I have a phone.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing keeping me from just total anarchy.
Total anarchy.
So I have a phone that every now and then goes boo-doo-doot. And I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah,
oh, right.
But like I'm constantly fidgeting
oh, shit, it's
with
5
it.
o'clock, okay.
Yeah, but I'm also constantly fidgeting with it too, so I can see that it's like 2:30 all the time. It's not like the thing that keeps track of time is not out of sight. But anyway,
there are days when I'll I swear to God, the whole day is, all right, time to wake up. Take your effexor. All right, cool. And then like 10 minutes later, okay, time to take your evening effexor. I'm like, what the fuck? What happened?
Yeah,
it's 7. What the fuck? Okay,
yeah.
But yeah, time is time keeps on slipping into the future.
To the future. Anyway, how do you?
Yeah, running episodes and one shots is all about the time management.
Yeah. How do you keep? I guess we'll begin with probably the thing I have the hardest time with is how do you keep the thought, like the concept, contained to one session?
I feel like this running one shots kind of comes from my background writing like short fiction and short stories. The idea behind the one shot or the single episode is you kind of have to stop planning and stop thinking about it at a certain time. And unfortunately, like it's going to depend on, especially if you're like me and Monica, where you exist outside the time stream, so it's going to come down to like just practice and knowing I can fit this many combats and this many like scenes of interaction into a 2-hour block. For me personally, like for keeping just the one thought, it's coming down to like just thinking of just the simple gimmick. I think in like the very first episode I was talking about how I have to have something gimmicky at the core of the game or I can't feel anything. and that's the heart of the one shot is the complete gimmick of you're all bards. You're all in a band and we're just going to run a quote unquote dungeon, which is really like, you know, a rival band trying to steal your gig, but we're going to do that all in one episode. So it has to be, you know, something that they could confront and either overcome or fail to overcome within a single session. So like, you know, if you're talking about it like from the point of view of like structuring a Fate game or structuring like an Apocalypse World game, you're not going for like the arc, you're not going for the season long, you're just looking for like a single, like basically the encounter arc. And it's it can be kind of a tricky thing to manage, but the best advice I can give is to start as close to the action as possible. Much like in writing short stories, you want to start like that instead of like, okay, you start in and you guys meet each other and then this guy gives you a job and then you guys go to the dungeon and then you have to start like, okay, you guys were there and you talked to Fuckface McNailbat and you told to go find my brother in this abandoned Nailbat warehouse, and we start at the Nailbat warehouse where the crust-punk goblins have you surrounded. Roll initiative. Like, you have to start like as soon as possible. I don't know if that helps you.
I mean, it does kind of, because I yelled at you a lot. I yelled, or not at you, like I wasn't scolding you, but like yelling in general. In our last session about structure. So this is sort of the same thing. It's just structured differently.
Yeah, it's on a much smaller scale.
Yeah, because I was like, your bard concept about like your bards, the dungeon is about all the bands, whatever, and I'm like, I could make that last 3 or 4 sessions.
You could,
yeah,
but you can't. That's the trick. What if you could only focus on one of those sessions? What would be the most kick-ass session that you could think of, and start right before that happens?
All right. I guess my follow-up question on that line is, how do small thoughts? I don't know.
How do small thoughts? I guess if you have trouble with this because you start with the big thoughts, hone in on 1 or 2 of the aspects of the big thoughts that make you the most excited. Like, if you're like, oh, and then I can't wait for them to get to this part. See if there's some way to just start them at that part. Sometimes that involves like, oh, because there's been this buildup and now they're being betrayed, and it's hard to, you can't start right before your trusted ally betrays you because there's not as much punch to it. But you can think about like the encounter that gets you excited, or the set piece that makes you the most excited, and try to start right there, as opposed to giving them a whole campaign to build up to it. So zoom in on one small thought that's connected to your big thoughts.
So if this were a game of Microscope, you're like, focus in on the individual scene rather than the whole timeline. Have you played Microscope? Or
Nope.
Messed around with Microscope?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is?
Tell me.
Microscope is super cool, so I guess we're going to have another drive-through RPG link, I suppose. I hope it's up on drive-through. It's an indie game where it's literally like a setting builder. Like, I guess it's a game, but I really rather use it to like build ideas. And you create a world and a narrative, and that's the game. And like you line up index cards that is the timeline of your plot's history.
Oh, cool.
And then you zoom in and out as you want. Like, you have a beginning and an end, like the beginning of the world, the end of the world, or whatever. Or whatever this thing you're trying to create is.
Okay.
And then you fill in the middle points based on the game's structural, like, narrative mechanics. All the way down to, like, you can zoom in into individual scenes where, like, the werewolf chieftain is making a pact with the vampire prince, right? Like, and then somebody plays, like, the vampire, somebody plays the werewolf, somebody plays another character in the scene, and then anybody else who's participating can play time, which is like the shit that comes up during this parlay. But when you zoom into the individual scene, you're specifically answering a question, like, how does the parlay between the vampire prince and the werewolf chieftain play out? Like, that's really the question, cool. And you have to answer the question, and you play until you've reached what you think is the satisfactory answer.
That's a really great way to think of. Yeah, that's the perfect example for like trying to keep your thoughts small. When you're running a 1-shot or a 2-shot or whatever, you want to keep your question, like the question from the dialing in on the scene in Microscope. You want to keep your question pretty punchy and easy to answer. Like, will the band of bards stop this rival band from sabotaging their gig? That's a pretty, like, okay, you could cover that in one night. That's right, yeah. Okay, yes or no, do they?
Right.
If this were a campaign, it would be like, will they be able to manage the bad PR? Will they be able to find out who's been sabotaging them?
Right.
It can go on for, you can fractal it off into all these other questions.
A campaign is essentially an infinite number of questions being answered on a much longer timeline.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. So my next question, and here are all my, like, I don't live in time questions. How do you avoid running out of time? I find that I do this a lot, where, like, I get set up and then I get too caught up in, I don't know, something, or I let somebody roleplay something stupid for too long or whatever, and then and then I'm running out of time.
Well, there's only so much you can do to keep your players from role-playing something that seems dumb, especially if it's a one-shot? Like,
sometimes, like, they want to interact with something that I'm doing. Like, they want to have an argument with the band manager, and then I get all caught up in, like, being the band manager, and then I'm like, I'm not watching the clock because I'm, like, you know, I'm you know, pretending to smoke a cigarette and yelling at him and, like, you know.
One of the things you can do, there's a couple of different ways you can try to structure an episode, but it is like going back to the campaign, it's all about that structure, but you've got to keep it on the micro level as opposed to the macro level. You've got your set pieces, but they have to be for tonight. So I would have I actually use like 3 or 4 act like format to like outline the game. Like, okay, act 1, you get to fuckface McNailbat's warehouse, you find the Crustpunk goblins, now they have to deal with the Crustpunk goblins. And then act 2, there could be like maybe 3 paths there, like, okay, they fought them and it was a success or a mixed success or a failure with the Crustpunk goblins, and where do those lead? But then those can lead into like basically just one outcome that's colored however they handled the previous act. So I try to keep it like simple, and I try to keep it moving. And as long as I know, okay, we have to at some point get to act 2. Okay, we have to at some point get to act 3. It's easier for me to like have that in the back of my mind. So when they're like, no, I want to talk to, I want to convince Fuckface McNailbat to come with us, and now they want to role play this out for the next 15 minutes. I know in the back of my head, okay, but we do need to get to act 2. So then I can make a call to be like, okay, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking I didn't plan for this. I'll have to rewrite this character and say he's a real pushover, and he says, yeah, okay, and he comes with them, or he suddenly keels over from a heart attack, or, you know, like you know, something I gotta keep it moving. We're on a schedule.
You know,
we're on a bus schedule.
We cut out away from, sure, you can convince him, but just roll for it or whatever.
Yeah, and we'll montage it. Like, it's animated, and, you know, there's wacky music in the background, and eventually, yes, you convince him, and he's coming now. So it's about, like, keeping your set pieces in mind and knowing, like, okay, I have to keep this tour bus going.
Okay, so related again to living outside the time frame, my cat is ripping up something in the hallway outside the door.
Is it Max?
No, it's Morgana.
Oh.
I know it's Morgana. Henry's like, can you just let her in the room?
I know you're in there.
Hang on. Now she's trapped in here with me.
The horror.
Who's gonna immediately want to get let out because she's a cat. All right. So how do you wrap up if you know you're running in a 2-hour time slot and you are 3/4 of the way through at the 1:45 mark and you are not done?
Ooh, that gets tricky. At that point, you got to start like keeping an eye out for like, okay, I need a backup plan for where to end this. Where's a cool place to end this? Are there any threads I can pull in right now and end this like a little ahead of schedule? Like if your act 4 was you were planning to fight the rust dragon at the bottom of the warehouse, but they're still in act 3 trying to rescue the Crustpunk priestess from, I don't know, I'm just fucking whatever. And they're still in act 3. It's like, okay, well, shit, they still aren't to the dragon. Have the dragon fucking just bust in on them suddenly. Like, okay, act 4 is here. Like, okay, time to go. Or if it's like, oh shit, you really lost track of time, and oh, we only have 10 minutes until my time slot is up. Find a way to kind of, like, if you're in the middle of something dramatic, hopefully find a way to like kind of end it on a dark moment if you want. The first thing that comes to mind is like the ending of The Sopranos, but obviously don't like disappoint your players. Like, they showed up to play this game specifically with you. You want to make sure they have a good like attitude about it when they leave. But you're gonna basically gonna have to be thinking on your feet and looking at the set pieces you already have and seeing if there's ways you can incorporate the ones you haven't used yet to bring it to like a really punchy, memorable ending that the players are gonna like really look back on fondly. Like, oh, like it doesn't necessarily have to go their way, but it should still be really fucking badass. And that's going to be hard to pull off if you've only got 10 minutes left, though. So try to keep an eye on the time.
Yeah, what happens to me sometimes is that I get really caught up in stuff, and then I look down and I realize I've got 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
I'm not at Act 4 or during the last fight if I'm running from a module or whatever.
I mean, while we're talking about like having the Rube Goldbergian network of alarms, you can set reminders on your phone. Like if you know, okay, I only have 2 hours to do this, like half hour through, be like, okay, we should be at this part. Like on your phone pops up.
Yeah.
An hour later, okay, we should be at this part, pops up. So like, okay, anyway, so we montage through whatever the hell you guys are trying to make me do. And now we're in Act 3 and you hear the rumblings of the Rust Dragon below you.
Yeah. The like, you only have so much time left from the original Mario, like, plays in my head. Yeah.
And then suddenly, oh shit!
So, how much planning would you say goes into keeping it short?
That's such a weird way to ask, because I try to keep as little planning into it as possible.
Right. Well,
like
you asked me how much planning goes into to making it long, which I was like, I kind of was like, no,
there you go.
Yeah.
But I'm like kind of the opposite of you. Like I really like outlines, so I
So you probably plan more to keep it short than I do to make it long.
I guess so. Yeah, especially when like you have to keep on schedule if you want this to be a one shot. You have to make sure that you're hitting those marks at the right time, or you're not going to be able to complete your story. If it's a one shot, I guess I could spend like the better part of like a work shift, like working on like different little like, oh, this beat should be they fight the Rust Dragon, and like I'll maybe like throw some stats down for it. But there's a good chunk of time is put into trying to keep it short as opposed to keeping it long. Because when you keep it long, it's like, I mean, you don't have a deadline really. You don't have to keep it in a container.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh shit, we ran long because you guys were like bargaining with Fuckface McNailbat, so it's fine. We'll pick this up next week. But if you're like on a one shot, it's like, oh fuck, this whole game ended up being the Fuckface McNailbat show. Much like this episode.
Yeah, this episode's really
Fuckface heavy.
Fuckface heavy, yeah. So like when you're running a long campaign, I find that the appeal of that is that you have like unlimited space to play to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't spend time obsessively building and planning. I write a dossier of things you need to know, like maybe character creation specifics. Here's the hook. Here's where you start, like a real structured beginning. And then from there, the appeal for me for a long game is like, well, then I get to see an infinite amount of possibility come out of my players based on the parameters that I set at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I like those stupid memes that are like, being GM is like buying your players an expensive cat tree and then watching them play with the box. And if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong.
Your cat tree was too expensive.
The cat tree was too expensive. You spent too much money on it, and you took too long assembling it. When really you should have just put the pieces out and seen which ones they played with, and then if they hop in the box, then you jump in the box with them.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, great, and you write, Fort Asshole on the side of the box. Right, you write
Fort Asshole on the side of the box, and that's what we're playing with now. But like that also assumes that when you assembled your cat tree, I'm really running with this metaphor, that you didn't realize it came in a box.
Yeah. That assumes that you know nothing about cats or their relationship with boxes.
And when you are running a game, you do in fact know that like you will create something and that people will interact with it. You didn't know that it like you can't possibly build a beginning hook and then be surprised when your players play with everything that's there, including the box it came in.
Mm-hmm.
So by that token, do you think it's better to more micromanage a short game because a short game has a very definitive goal, which is answer this question, solve this plot hook, whatever, so that you can actually fine-tune that a whole lot more and also maybe expect a good bit more cooperation because, like, the buy-in is we are bards doing this bardic adventure, Rust Dragon, Crust Punk Goblins, etc.
I've kind of gone both ways. I've gone with like hyper micromanaging and all right, open-ended, like here's the hook, let's just try this out for 2 sessions. I had more thematic success with micromanaging, obviously, because then I feel like, okay, we're all on the same page here. Like we're all like the bard game was really the most micromanaging I did, when I was like, okay, you guys are all bards, you all have to be different colleges. The idea is you're all in a band, but you all represent different musical like flavors. And that was the most micromanaging that I really did for a short-term game. But yeah, I did have a lot more success with that than I did with the other ones, which were like, oh, let's just play a modern game, anything goes. And then it was like, okay, because I have the kind of players that are like, oh really, then I'm playing a lizard man doctor running my clinic out of the sewer. It's like, oh great, okay, cool. I probably should have put some stipulations on that. But yeah, I would recommend, like, not obsessively detailing it, because it's just, 1 or 2 episodes. But if there's any part where you're like, man, I hope no one plays a lizard man doctor running a clinic out of the sewer, make sure that everyone knows, like, only these races, only these classes. Like, especially, like, for me, I like really quirky one-shots, so that might be built into the idea that I had. Like, okay, well, we're all playing kobolds trying to keep adventurers out of our dungeon. So right away, that speaks to, like, okay, you're all kobolds. You're all, like, low level, like, shitty adventurer style, and you're all based in this dungeon. So don't be like, but my kobold lives from over here, because that's stupid, because you're all in the same place. With running the very short form stuff, I recommend having more structure than just, like, I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought on this one.
I got you. Well, I think we're on the same page. If you are going to create something that's deeply detailed, like, I think if you want to be the, like, we run my story, you should do it short form, not long form.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like there's people, like, you shouldn't do that, really, but I keep talking over you, sorry.
That's okay. One of the reasons why I like one-shots, like, counter to you're talking about, like, oh, campaigns, it's about, playing to see what happens, and you have, like, this infinite space for possibility. I like one-shots because I feel like there's far fewer consequences for fucking it up. Unless you're, if you're running for friends and it's like, we'll just see each other, like, another week, another 2 weeks. A one-shot is like, you want to do something stupid? Yeah, let's just run, like, a 2-episode thing where we're all kobolds. And then if it's shitty, it's like, all right, it's just 2 episodes. We did that. Okay, let's move on. So I feel like you have more freedom to explore that stuff, because you're not really committing to, like, this long-form story that everyone has to put all this energy into.
So, like, so how much time do you think you need to run a one-shot? And also, you keep saying 1 or 2 sessions. Would you consider a 2-session event a one-shot still?
Yeah, I kind of lump it in there. Like, if it's like 3 sessions or more, it's like, oh, you got a campaign. Oh, that's great. But 1 or 2 episodes is pretty good for me. Like, I still consider that a one-shot. What was your question?
Yeah, how much time? Sorry. Like, actual minutes and seconds and hours. Like, do you run for 2 hours? Do you run for 4?
I try to plan for 2 hours of content, but I'm also someone with our table group meets from about 6:30 to 9:30, and the first hour is always bullshitting.
Our group does the same, except it's supposed to be 6:30. It was like 7 to 9 is usually the deal.
Someone's always late, and then there's bullshitting, and there's eating food, so you got about 2 hours. I'll try to plan it for, like, okay, I got 2 hours to do this, and I've already found, like in D&D 5th edition, 2 hours, I can get about 4 pretty good combat encounters in there, like, level appropriate, and that's like the three like standard combat encounters, and then 1 like, oh, it's the boss kind of encounter.
Okay.
But that doesn't, like, I have to be careful with my dungeon planning. Like, if it's an actual, like a dungeon, I have to make sure that it's not too big and not too complicated, and that there's not a whole lot of backtracking to solve puzzles. So you kind of have to think, like, you kind of have to put the dungeoning experience, like, on, what's the word for the escalator, but it's all horizontal?
The people mover?
No, people movers are like the little, like, beep beeps that they ride in Walmart.
No, they're the flat escalators.
Yeah, you kind of gotta put your dungeon exploration on a flat escalator.
Okay, we'll call it a flat escalator.
Flat escalator broken, temporarily floor. Sorry for the convenience. Every time I go to open my Pepperidge Farm rye bread in the morning, I miss Mitch Hedberg. Did you ever listen to Mitch Hedberg stuff?
I did listen to Mitch Hedberg stuff.
Every time I open that damn bread, I hear his voice going, "You open it once and it still ain't open." And I'm like, oh, I miss him so much.
Addiction sucks.
Drugs are a hell of a drug.
Drugs are a hell of a drug. Yeah.
But,
so you got anything else you want to
add? 2 hours, set pieces.
Yep.
Index cards.
Okay.
Plan time. Use the. No, I'm good. I'm out of breath.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, if you are looking for more content, we've got blog posts and such.
A blog.
Yeah, we haven't been very good about updating our blog.
BLAU with an umlaut.
Oh, okay.
G.
Okay. Yeah. Blog.
Blog.
Yeah, occasionally we will update the blog, but if you want to listen to our other episodes, they are all available on bonusexp.wordpress.com.
bonusexpcast.wordpress.com.
It's literally in front. I can't.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm all like tired and nasally.
Yeah.
And you're just like brain do the
goo.
word thing.
My
with
brain
reading eyes
is liquid. But we are also now everywhere you can find podcasts. We are on iTunes, we are on Google Play, and we are on Stitcher.
We're on Stitcher.
Yeah, we did it.
I just realized that the word sex is in our URL. Next.
Oh man. Yeah, if you want to send us some fan mail, we'd love to hear from you. We will do all kinds of things for you. That's not true. We'll definitely read anything you send us. We welcome your polite and engaged feedback.
And that's bonusexpcast@gmail.com. We're also bonusexpcast at Twitter.
Yep. Things you can fan mail us. We would happily answer GM advice questions. We want to hear about your campaigns. We would like to hear about your characters.
Yes, I love
we would
it.
like pictures of your pets.
Yeah, absolutely. Every pet, even if you've got like the what other people would call icky pets, I like pictures of tarantulas and snakes.
Yes.
I think they're really cool. Too many legs, not enough legs. I love it.
Yeah. If you want to follow me, I am at ZenithSun on Twitter.
If you want to follow me, I'm at Ray_Cole.
That's where we live on the internet.
It's my internet home.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Everybody get out.
All right. Bye.
Change it if you want to. Bonus Experience is written and produced by Monica and Ray. Our theme song is Reuse Noise with the Light by CDK and is used under the Attribution Non-Commercial Creative Commons license. And our cover art is by Nino Studios. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to save your charm action for a perfect defense.